Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll speak with an ASU climatologist on recent destructive storms to hit the valley. Also tonight, how small businesses can protect intellectual property, and we'll learn about an effort to improve civil discourse in politics. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. An effort to recall State Superintendent of Public Instruction Diane Douglas was launched today. The recall group now has 120 days to collect 364,000 signatures to get the recall on the ballot.
Our coalition is not affiliated with a particular political party or endorsing a certain candidate. We represent the people of Arizona who have decided that enough is enough when it comes to the lack of leadership and the support of education, the lack of support that education receives in the state.
A Douglas spokesman says that the recall effort is, quote, not on the superintendent's radar at all. A large, violent storm hit central and eastern parts of the Phoenix area last night. Many residents awoke today to find downed trees and power lines blocking neighborhood streets and major intersections. At one point last night, more than 60,000 homes were without power, with more than 30,000 still without electricity this morning. Why are we seeing so many strong, concentrated storms, and is this the work of a developing El Nino weather pattern? For the answers, we turn to ASU climatologist Randy Cerveny. Good to have you back. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
I'm glad you came in because I got some questions for you, mister. What happened last night?
Well, the kind of storms that we get are called convective. They're pop-up storms. They're not the kind that you would expect to see like in the Midwest, where it's like with a cold front that you have a long line of thunderstorms. These are generated by surface heating. And so like the tops of mountains, South Mountain or down south by Tucson, those mountains can generate enough heat that the rising air then will pop up a thunderstorm that is generally pretty short-lived but very intense.
These pop-up storms, I mean, do they usually have this kind of power?
Well, normally what happens is that they get pushed by upper-level winds, and so they don't sit over one area for a long period of time. The storms last night didn't move very fast. They were crawling, and as they did, that allowed for more and more rain to fall, and then when they collapsed, all that wind came out knocking down trees.
Oh, they sure did. So many trees in our neighborhood were knocked down. Was this a monsoon storm last night?
This was classic monsoon. This is something that is typical of what we used to have back in the 80s, and we haven't seen quite as many of recently, but it's the kind that is also incredibly hard to predict. The National Weather Service, the local TV meteorologists, we have a hard time trying to predict these because they are associated with such localized situations, and the computer models look at kind of a broader view so that they can tell you, yeah, it's going to rain across the valley, but they can't tell you that it's going to rain over downtown Phoenix or over Tempe.
Well, no kidding, because everything's fine until they start popping up, it looks like over South Mountain, and then they either drift over like they did Saturday night and last night, or like Sunday night, at least in our area, they just sat there and just made a bunch of rumble and nothing happened.
Yeah, and a lot of times what will generate new storms is as they fall apart, they'll put out a gust of wind that will kick up more air that will generate a new storm. It depends on how much localized moisture you've got around that to whether you're going to get new storms that will be produced or not.
Interesting. Okay, so if this was a monsoon storm last night, how is monsoon 2015 shaping up?
Well, for the deserts, we're still below the kind of rains that we would expect to see. The high country actually has gotten an even better monsoon than what we've had so far in Phoenix. There are parts of the plateau that have, the Mogollon Rim area, that have gotten 100 to 200% of their normal monsoon rainfall. So they have done really well. The desert's not so well.
Okay, for the areas that are doing well, and for what we saw last night, is El Nino playing a part?
Well, it's going to play an increasingly larger part here as we go into September and then into the fall. Because normally we start to see a little bit of a shift in the way that the monsoon works at this time. You'll start hearing the TV meteorologists paying more attention to tropical storms that are down off the coast of Baja. In fact, there's a depression right now that's going to probably influence weather on Thursday here in the metropolitan area. But that's going to become more frequent as we go into September and October. The moisture from those storms, we're not going to get hurricanes, but the moisture from those storms are going to get pushed up into Arizona. We'll get a lot more rain.
And that's El Nino.
And that is partly due to El Nino.
Because usually late September, October, those are pretty dry months.
Right, right. But this year, the Pacific Ocean is on fire, basically. So we're getting a lot of storms. It made the social media this weekend. We have 3 Category 4 hurricanes that were out in the Pacific Ocean just this weekend alone. And we're going to see more of that in the next few months.
So the El Nino is still out there. It's still strong. We'll see an increasing evidence. Maybe that wasn't El Nino last night, although you could have fooled me. But we'll see an increasing evidence of that. How is El Nino now shaping up overall?
It is still looking like it's going to be one heck of an impressive fall and winter for us in terms of rainfall. We are predicting over the next 3 months to be above normal precipitation in the state of Arizona for September, October, and November. Pretty much for the United States, we are the only state that's going to have above normal precipitation.
Interesting. And that's September, October, November. El Ninos sometimes don't even start till February, March, April, correct?
That's right. And the forecast is that will continue on, that as we get into the wintertime, that precipitation should actually continue.
So with this tropical storm now near Baja, we got some other activity maybe happening later. Could we see a repeat of this kind of business from Saturday night and last night?
Yeah, and if you remember, this time last year, we started to see some of those very kinds of effects of the moisture from tropical storms causing so much damage with heavy rains over the state last year at this time. We could see that again.
Last question, very quickly. Obviously, one season does not end a drought. Couple of these in a row, could that put a serious dent in the drought?
Oh, absolutely. Any moisture we get is going to help. And this, because we are anticipating above normal rainfall, should put a pretty good dent for Arizona's drought. May not be quite as good for California because they're much deeper into drought than we are, but we're going to get some support from all the rain.
All right, Randy, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Intellectual property law helps promote innovation by protecting those who develop new and better ideas. But many small business owners don't know how to obtain the proper rights for their work. Here with more is Michael Kelly, an attorney from Jennings, Strauss & Salmon. Good to have you here. Good to see you again.
Good to be here.
Intellectual property, what is that?
Intellectual property is the intellectual equivalent of real property. Instead of being measured by metes and bounds like a real estate deed, intellectual property is measured by the claims of a patent or the description in a trademark or the metes and bounds of a copyright.
I was going to say, can you compare a patent and a trademark and a copyright? How do they differ?
Patents generally protect inventions, whereas trademarks protect brand identity, the company name, company logo, phrases, etc. And copyrights will protect works of authorship, user interfaces, songs, software significantly.
Interesting. Registering web addresses, does that fall into any of those categories?
We consider web addresses, URLs, etc., to be part of a company's portfolio of intellectual property. And that's an important point to make for startup and emerging growth companies, because those are the kind of assets that are relatively simple to secure. That you don't need an attorney to do it. But from an investor standpoint and from a competitive standpoint, it conveys that you're serious about building your business.
As far as the law is concerned, how does the law see intellectual property?
Well, in order to attract and maintain significant investment, a country has to have strong intellectual property laws and strong enforcement mechanisms. That's one of the reasons why the United States is a leader in technology innovation. Recently, last year, the United States Supreme Court, in a case called Alice Corp v. CLS Bank International, the Supreme Court took a relatively dim view of business methods and software patents. It has been said that that was the death knell of software patents. I want to make sure that we all understand that's not the case. Software patents are alive and well. We just need to be careful not to be greedy and try and claim more than you really invented.
So, and you mentioned the country is strong because the country has strong intellectual property law. Does intellectual property law change from state to state?
No.
No.
I mean, there are some nuances with respect to state registration, but the patent scheme is federal, and the trademark scheme for registered trademarks is federal, and the copyright laws are federal. And under the Constitution, those federal statutory schemes preempt state law. So there's very little that states can do to legislate in that arena anyway.
Is there much change country to country?
Very much so, very much so. There's been efforts recently to harmonize among industrial nations to frankly, to bring other countries up to the standards of U.S. protection.
So, if I'm a small business, I got Ted's Hamburger Hamlet out there, and I'm a big deal, and I've built a better mousetrap, to mix metaphors. What do I need to know? Where do I need to go? How do I make sure I obtain the proper rights?
With respect to trademarks?
Yes.
What you need to, what we recommend that companies do is recognize that when you use a mark in connection with your goods and services in interstate commerce, you have a trademark. You don't need to file, you don't need to do anything. We recommend that you file a federal registration so that you can invoke the federal district courts to enforce your rights. But by merely putting a TM next to your name or your logo, your company name, you thereby let the world know that you have an enforceable trademark. Similarly with copyrights, by fixing your work in a tangible medium, whether it's a song, a software program, or a sculpture, by fixing it in a tangible medium and putting a little legend at the bottom that says copyright, the year of first publication, you're letting the world know that you own your copyright. Again, like with trademarks, we also recommend that you obtain a federal copyright registration so you can go to court and pursue infringers.
I was going to say, it's got to be more than just putting a little TM or putting a little thing at the bottom of the art, but you're saying not necessarily so?
Correct. Your trademarks and your copyrights generally arise by operation of law when you either fix it in a tangible medium or use your trademark in connection with goods and services. The reason for registering it is so you can invoke the statutory scheme of going into federal court and getting statutory damages if someone takes your work.
If you're going to take that first step, you might as well take the second, in other words.
Yes.
Patents, whole different ballgame?
Patents is a whole different ballgame. The landscape is still pretty strong in terms of patent protection. In a recent case just a few months ago, February of this year, for example, a case that really underscores the value of strategic patenting, a small company called SmartFlash, down in Tyler, Texas, sued Apple, filed a lawsuit in 2012, and then 20 months later, got a $532 million jury verdict against Apple. And the interesting thing is SmartFlash didn't even have a product, but they had a very sound idea.
How do you, I mean, I can sit there, I can think of ideas all day long. If I think of a flying spaceship or something along that lines, and 10 years from now we got flying spaceships being produced, can I just run around and say, haha, no?
You can do that.
You can.
But if you've got an idea like that, it is appropriate to seek the advice of patent counsel and file your patent application. And that's why SmartFlash was able to pick Apple's pocket for that kind of money, is they did go through the diligence of filing and obtaining an enforceable patent for their invention. People say oftentimes you can't patent ideas. Well, you can certainly patent the manner in which an idea is implemented. And that's what SmartFlash does.
So, most important thing, last question, most important thing that a small business owner needs to know to protect themselves from infringement?
If you're accused of infringing, you really should consult an intellectual property attorney so that you don't get dinged for statutory damages or attorney's fees. The federal statutory schemes generally award a prevailing plaintiff with their attorney's fees. So if you're accused of infringement, it's something that you ought to look at seriously.
And if you think someone else is infringing on you, same thing?
Same advice. Same advice. Investors respect companies that take the steps to protect their rights.
All right. Interesting stuff. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
The U of A's National Institute of Civil Discourse has a new program that looks to develop national leaders from state lawmakers inspired by a culture of collaboration and compromise. We discussed the program recently with Ted Celeste, the Institute's Director of State Programs, and State Representative Randall Freeze. Thank you both for joining us on Arizona Horizon. Good to have you here. The National Institute of Civil Discourse, what are we talking about here?
Ted, this was something that was created in the aftermath of the shooting of Gabby Giffords quite a few years ago, and the folks in Tucson wanted to do something to try to change the tenor of what was going on in the political arena. It was that it came to that kind of a situation. So the National Institute was created to focus on 3 things: the media, the public, and political officials.
And right now, the idea, one of the reasons we have you here, is because there's a focus on developing state leaders into national leaders. Explain, please.
Well, I think skill sets are important, particularly communication skill sets, and knowing how to disagree, and knowing how to solve problems, meeting in the middle, knowing how to come up with a solution and compromise, and building those skill sets early, I think can only be a successful roadmap to success.
How do you do it? How do you develop a collaborative culture?
It's interesting. We've created a workshop that is a half-day workshop that's really focused on how do individuals communicate better. How can you listen better? How, really listen to understand. And so we spend a half a day working with legislators for that purpose, to try to really get them to talk about each other and their personal pasts, and it really makes a difference. The people don't spend enough time learning about each other and really understanding what brought them to the same place.
And the idea of public policy development, that it needs changing. Why does it need changing?
Well, I think it again comes back to communication, and I'd like to just comment on what Ted just said. In this era of devices, in this era of smartphones, in this era of emails and texting, we don't really sit down and talk to each other. We don't get to know each other. And when you get to know someone, there's a respect that comes along with that. And when you respect someone, even though they may disagree or have a different belief than you're that much closer to compromising. You're that much closer to coming up with a solution and respecting more than one point of view when you develop a solution.
And yet, in this day and age, if candidate A respects person B or compromises with person B, they're considered a sellout.
Right, and that's one of the things that what we're trying to do is give folks comfort that it's okay to be this way, that it really is what people want, and that compromise is not a dirty word, and that you can still disagree, and you can disagree vehemently, but you don't have to be disagreeable in your disagreement.
How would that mindset change the development of public policy?
Well, it just makes it easier to talk to one another. It makes it easier and more comfortable to express your point of view. And Ted and I were talking in the green room about, I read in the newspaper a letter to the editor that he did exactly what you said. It labeled this person's representative as a compromiser, and that was disparaging. And that's not where we should be. If we start to exhibit behavior that shows that compromising is not a bad thing, compromising in fact should be what we aspire to. Once we start exhibiting that behavior, I think people that are voters, that are the electorate will understand. A better solution comes about when more than one point of view is taken into consideration. More people will be happy with the outcome if you take into more than one point of view and come to a middle ground to solve a problem.
How do you rebuild trust, though, especially after the negative campaigning we see out there? I may run against you, I may think you're a pretty swell guy, but by the end of a campaign, you've thrown so much mud at me and I've thrown so much at you. How do you get back together again?
That's a good question. That comes up in every one of our workshops, and it's very difficult. I found that what I did was I ran a different kind of campaign. I'm a former state representative in Ohio, and I ran a positive campaign. It made a difference. I viewed that very question as basic to how I'm going to get along with the people that I'm working with once I get to the legislature. But what we've found is that you really have to get at what brings you both to the place you are, somebody an opponent to that environment, that you have that you do have common ground, and that's what we aim to find out when we do our workshops.
So how do you do that? How do you do that, especially with an ideologue?
Well, I think you get to know them as a person, and finding common ground, finding a place to start where you both agree on something can allow you to begin the process of negotiation. When you come to a negotiation, your job is not to convince the other person that you're right and they're wrong. Your job is to come up with a solution that takes into account your point of view, their point of view. Each person coming to the table is going to have to give up some aspect of their values to come to a compromise. Now, not always is it going to be exactly in the middle. Somebody may need to give up more, somebody may need to give up less. But it is a compromise, and that's the system. The system is designed to represent more than one point of view, come up with a solution. A multifaceted problem requires a multifaceted solution.
The system also has a baked-in winner and loser component out of all this. And in Arizona right now, the Republican Party is in the majority at the legislature and holds state offices. Why should, some ask, the majority, they won, they got what they campaigned for X, the voters said we like X, they want to push X. Why should they compromise with X?
Well, let me tell you, in the House right now, Democrats represent 40% of that body. In the Senate, they represent just over 40% of that body. So yes, 60% is majority, but 40% is not something that should be disregarded. The 40% of the voters in the state are not getting represented at the table. And I think we can do better than that. We can do better than that by talking to one another. And communication is at least 50% listening, and Ted brought that up, at least 50% listening. You have to listen to someone else's concerns so that you can put together a solution.
And interestingly enough, and picking up on that point, you can still have the upper hand, you can still get what you want, but if part of the process builds in this listening and bringing others along, you have a much healthier process, a much healthier outcome as a result.
And trust. I mean, we didn't talk yet about trust, and in order to feel comfortable building a deal and feeling confident that a negotiation will go through, you have to trust the parties involved. Well, how do you do that? You have to build it. It's built through experience, it's built through working together, it's built by negotiating small deals and then moving on to bigger deals.
So with this in mind, the concept of a civility caucus, what is that, and is it happening anywhere in the country?
It is, actually, and the name of our workshop is Building Trust Through Civil Discourse. So how do you get to trust? You build it through civil discourse. Part of the goal of our workshop is to come up with an action agenda in each state. Every state's differently, and come up with an action agenda and determine are you happy with the way things are, or do you feel that they need improvement? If they need improvement, how and what specific steps can you take to get from here to there? And some of them have been working groups, civility caucuses. Out of that, we've created now a national network of state legislators that are committed to civil governance. And we have over 35 legislators from 20 states who are part of that effort as a result.
A civility caucus, is that possible at the Arizona legislature right now?
Of course. It will take time. But what it takes is willingness to participate, dedication to achieving a goal that will serve our state better. And that's the bottom line. What will serve our state better? If we talk to each other, if we listen to each other, if we trust each other and respect each other, it will serve our state better.
And one of the things I'd suggest is the way that might happen is through a workshop that we'll do here in Arizona, where it's bipartisan based, an invitation from both Republican and Democratic legislators who will participate, and there'll be a good balance in that process. That will help build the focus towards that kind of effort.
Last question, how do you convince them to participate?
You know, it's interesting. When we first started, it was difficult. People were a little standoffish about the idea, but now people are very, very interested in the idea of finding ways to find common ground, particularly what's going on nationally. I mean, it just is, there's a great deal of frustration about the level of dysfunction, and folks really want to help us find ways to make this work.
All right, very good. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
And Wednesday on Arizona Horizon, find out about a cancer center conducting research and clinical trials in conjunction with St. Joseph's Hospital. And we'll hear about an effort to help free innocent prisoners. That's on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.